to another episode of Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner. And today we have a very exclusive and special episode lined up for you. But before we get into that, I want to take the time out to highlight the sponsors of episode 10. Inland Waterways Museum, located in Paducah, Kentucky. They have an upcoming bourbon tasting event called Spirits of the Stream, a sophisticated evening of sipping and savoring. This will be held on Thursday, May 16th, and tickets are $50. The ticket price includes bourbons from barrel and bond, hors d'oeuvres, and admission to the museum. For more information, check out their website, www.inlandwaterways.org. Our second sponsor, RB's Unique Touch LLC, specializes in event planning and decorating. They have an event that's coming up. It's the third annual Mother's Day brunch on Sunday, May 5th at 1:30 p.m. Tickets and vendor spots are still available. For more information, follow their Facebook at RB's Unique Touch LLC or call 270-519-6780. Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, we are listener supported. So when you give to my listener supported podcast, you will also be supporting my region's domestic violence shelter and program, the Merriman House Domestic Crisis Center. I will donate $2 from every $9.99 that you donate on Spotify to their mission, to support their mission in saving, building, and changing the lives of those affected by domestic violence in Western Kentucky. In addition to that, we've also partnered with Exit Realty Key Group, who wants to match that $2. So every $2 I give will be matched equally by Exit Realty Key Group. So thank you in advance for supporting and listening to this podcast and talk show. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for. We have a very special guest on this show. The topic today is police and community trust. We're gonna clear up all the stigmas around that, and we're gonna talk about some amazing things that our community engagement officer here in Paducah, Kentucky is doing with and for the community. So without further ado, I bring to you my very special guest, Officer Blake Quinn. Welcome to the show. I like your little chuckle. You're like, yeah, very special episode.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. We partnered on a few things before, and when you presented this to me, I was genuinely excited to do this because I think there's not a better advocate in the community than you for a number of causes. So whatever I can do to support you, I'm more than happy to do so.
Thank you so much, and that speaks volume for community engagement and community trust, which is what we're here to talk about today. Voice Thoughts was created as a society-based podcast. So we want to talk about everything that happens in society and the topics that are not really talked about enough. So we're going to talk about your position right now. You are the community engagement officer. What does that entail?
So there's not really a good answer for it, I think, sometimes, because I do so many things.
Right.
And again, the Paducah Police Department recognizes to have someone in a position like this to focus on those community partnerships and to continue to build trust within the community is vital, especially in this day and age. So some of the things that I do would seem very like what you would expect. So for instance, I run the social media accounts for the Paducah Police Department with a few other people. I primarily do a lot of things in generating the content and being as transparent as we can with the public. Because I think that's one of the key components to building trust in the community is to be transparent. But also to show people that we're members of the community as well, and to highlight some of the good works that we do within the agency. Additionally, I'm on the opioid task force. I'm a member of the Healthy Paducah Coalition, and currently working with, I'm also on the advisory board for the Salvation Army, and we're working on a project right now to combat homelessness in Paducah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot of different things. The way that I normally sum it up is I build a bridge between the community and the police department. So we can show them that we're a member of the community, and to let the community know what kind of work that we're doing to serve the public.
Oh, well, thank you for that. So yeah, we're going to talk about all things police and community. Why is the police important to the community?
So, obviously one of the things that the key focus for the Paducah Police Department is safety. The safety for the citizens, safety for the visitors that are coming into town. And that comes in a number of different shapes and sizes. So most interactions that folks will have with the police will be traffic enforcement. So nobody likes to get pulled over, nobody likes to get a ticket, but at the end of the day, we enforce those laws for the simple reason of it helping keep everyone safe. You know, if you can imagine, you know, being at home and hearing someone knock on the door, and you go to the door and you see that it's a member of the police department to let you know that your loved one has passed away in a police error. I'm sorry, in a traffic collision. You know, if writing a ticket, you know, can prevent that from happening to someone in the public, then that's kind of what the mission is. You know, we do a number of criminal investigations, and again, it's to really enhance the safety of the community members. You know, this is a great town. You know, and I tell people all the time, I have nothing holding me here. I have no family here. My child has graduated and moved away. You know, my family's in a completely other state. But what keeps me here is not only this community, which is so great, but also the agency I work for. And so to see a partnership between the community and the police department, you know, that's what holds me here to continue to want to serve this community.
Wow, that means a lot. That really does. So we're going to talk about some ways in which you are currently, and you mentioned a couple of boards that you're on and different things, but specifically with, you know, the community, the people within the community, how are some other ways that you are currently, you know, creating that mission and making sure that mission is alive?
So realistically, I'm not the only person that builds a relationship with the community. It's everyone at the police department. Every interaction we have is an opportunity to continue to build that trust with the community. You know, if you go back to the beginning of modern policing, Sir Robert Peel would say that the public are the police and the police are the public. The only reason we have the authority that we do is because of the trust in the public that we'll do the right thing. So every single officer has an opportunity to engage the community. And really what I do is I'm able to enhance that mission. So it can be anything from, this morning I did a presentation at an elementary school to show the kids, you know, my vehicle, explain my uniform, you know, let them get in and out of the car and see what's going on with it. Last year I did, I called it a resource expo. You know, I recognize that there's a particular section of town that is lacking in resources. So I just kind of sent out the call, and I got I think it was around 25 nonprofits and service-based organizations, such as the Family Service Society, the Diabetes Connection, Adult Education, you know, WKCTC. I had all those folks there. So if someone in that community needed information on those resources, they were able to come to one spot and not only learn about it, but get enough information that they could figure out kind of what the next steps were if they needed those resources.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, and we do it, you know, but as far as the police department goes, what we do, it's a number of things, you know. Next week, May 8th, we're going to have Coffee with a Cop, and that's fortunately, etc. Up on North 8th Street has been gracious enough to let us sit in the lobby and just drink coffee with people and meet them in an environment that's not like that stress-free environment. So very often when people see us, it's the worst day of their life. So what we want to do is we want to catch them in an environment to where there's not those stressors. So if they have any questions or they want to learn more about our agency or what we're doing or get to know our officers, we want to facilitate that. So that'll be from 7:30 to 10 o'clock on May 8th. We'll be at etc. on North 6th Street. We just finished up our Citizens Police Academy. That's one of my favorite things that we do as an agency. We literally open the doors to the public. We cap it at around 25, but it will be a 6-week program. We meet one night a week for 2 to 3 hours, and we just break down every single thing that we do at the police department. So you'll understand the difference between the Operations and Support Services Division. We'll talk about what a patrolman does. We will talk about traffic stops. People have a chance to practice a traffic stop. We'll bring in our general investigation detectives and our drug detectives so they can explain their role and mission and their equipment and things that they do to help keep the public safe. We'll have our canines. We do all our special units, which is like, so we really just open the door to the public and we just give them an opportunity to learn about, you know, what we do for the community.
I love that. Now, if someone is listening or watching right now and they're interested in being a part of the next Police Academy, tell us some more about how someone can be a part of that.
So all of our information that you're going to find, anytime we push out an event, will be done through our social media channels. So we have Facebook, Instagram, a very small following on Twitter, because Twitter just isn't super popular in Kentucky. But we want to be out there and available for the public, so no matter where they get their stuff from social media, we try to have it there. And I also have a Nextdoor account, and that was completely new. I didn't know that existed, which that is a very interesting community. And if you want to get a good gauge on what's happening within neighborhoods, you can see what's going on. Very often it's people asking for like, hey, who's a good contractor, or who's, but I can take that information in these talks, and if I come to someone in the community and they're like, well, I'm trying to get something worked on, I say, well, I'll write on Nextdoor that this guy seems pretty ready. And so just any way that we can communicate with the public, we try to do it through social media. So if we have those big events coming up like Citizens Police Academy, that'll be on our social media channels as well. And then sometimes we may do some other stuff with it, but that's our main source of information. We want to make ourselves as available to the public as we can.
Accessible.
That's it.
Yes.
And so our social media channels are there. We talked earlier where we said, that's the upside of technology, is we have the ability to push that information out without having to wait for a news cycle, without waiting to see what gets published in the paper. We can put our own information out.
Anytime.
And that's it.
So I want you to tell our listeners and viewers right now where they can find the police department on social media.
All right, so
what names it
it's to be honest, like I say, I think Facebook is Paducah Police KY, because Paducah, Texas beat us to it. So it's Paducah, either Paducah KY Police or Paducah Police KY.
Okay.
If you search for Paducah Police, you can tell that it's going to be us. We'll have our information not only over to the left, but we're going to have pictures of our officers, pictures of our vehicles. You can tell it's us. Very similar to Instagram. On Twitter, it's going to be about the same thing, Paducah Police KY.
Police KY.
Yeah.
All right, so as we talk about social media, I was kind of browsing around and, gathering some stuff for this show. And on LinkedIn, you mentioned on your profile that you literally stop things from blowing up. Elaborate on that for us.
So, the Paducah Police Department is very fortunate that we have the ability to have specialized units. One of the specialized units we have is the Paducah Police Department Bomb Squad. So we're a regional bomb squad, which means that we cover the 13 westernmost counties of Kentucky. So anytime there's any type of explosive emergency, those agencies will call us and we will go help them with that problem.
Wow.
So we cover 13 counties, and I believe we service 32 agencies. But our territory also includes, the Ohio River, the parts of the Mississippi. We have, I want to say, 4 or 5 airports, and we also have 60 miles of Amtrak that travels through our jurisdiction as well. So we can be pretty busy, but yeah, I literally, me and my teammates literally stop things from blowing up.
Oh, yes, I like that. And because when I saw it at first, I saw the literal, but I also, stop things from blowing up, and perspective could be, stop things in the community from getting out of hand. So I'm thinking, he's a, community engagement officer, so you're figuratively stopping things from blowing up in the community by building trust with community members, and you're literally stopping things from blowing up. So I really did like that. So thank you for elaborating on that. And I love that you've talked a lot about how you are building trust with the community. Now, here is a reverse question for you. How can the community members help you guys to improve that relationship of trust and community relationships?
I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to communication and not assuming. Very often, especially if someone is from outside of our community and they're new to the area, they make an assumption, right? So they assume just because we're the police that maybe we police the same way that someone in a much larger city did, where this is a hometown. We recognize that it's a hometown. I think the best description I've ever heard of Paducah is we're a suburb without the big city, right? We're still small enough that we can build those relationships. So don't make an assumption based on previous experiences, and just talk to us and give us an opportunity to do the right thing, because we will, just communicate, and that's my biggest thing. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. I don't know that there's a single officer that works for our agency that doesn't want to answer a question if someone has a question about what we're doing, and that's the opposite side of the street too. we work exceptionally hard on communication, trying to tell people, helping them understand what we do and why we're doing it. Because very often, I think that the best lessons I've ever learned in building a relationship in a community is having a teenager. And the reason for that is because you've done things a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're having to explain and learn and maybe nurture that relationship. So you have to find the best way to do that. And so I figured out a long time ago when my guy was a little guy, like if I just explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, that goes a long way. And that helps people understand what we do. So communication is a two-way street. We just ask the public to give us some grace, because at the end of the day, we're going to do things right. We always try to do things right. But very often, sometimes we're backed into a split-second decision, and we're still going to try and get it right. But if it doesn't go the way that you want to, it's not because it's done out of malice. It's just because we're trying to do the right thing. And if you don't disagree with it, or if you don't agree with it, that's okay. And if it's a problem, we can talk it out, and we can figure out what's going on to make the best resolution we can out of the situation.
I love that. All right, so one stigma faced by the police is the lack of community trust in the police. So again, I think we've come a long way, right? And we talked about that previously. We've come a long way, but I think we still have some ways to go. How can that disconnect be addressed? So I know you're out there, you're doing that, and we talk about what the community can do with the communication, but how can that disconnect be rectified?
That's a great question. I can completely understand why you'd ask that. And for us, it's so vital to maintain the community's trust. Because again, and I said earlier, without the community's trust, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do to help keep the public safe. And I think, especially with Chief Laird, he's put a big focus on community, like engaging with the community. And I think if you look back to a time, in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, the police almost had a confrontational relationship with the public, to where it was a very us against them, to where as we moved in, as it is now in the early 2020s, I think that a lot of agencies, particularly ours, are starting to see that at the end of the day, we're part of the community and that's our community. So every opportunity we have to engage with the public, we're going to. So it's not just talking to people when you get sent to a call. It's if you we've increased foot patrols in the neighborhoods where we can get that feeling back, to where, hey, I recognize him. He's the one who walks through the neighborhood. He's always talked to us. He's a great guy. And it's helping people understand that we want to be a part of this. So again, to circle back to your question, what can be done? Kind of everything that we're doing right now. Being open and transparent with the public. Getting out and taking those opportunities to let them know that they're a valued member of the community, and having those one-on-one conversations. Because and we've said before, I may not be able to step up and change 100 lives all at once, but when someone needs me, I can take that opportunity to change that one person's life. And if I do that enough times, then we'll all make an impact in the community.
I love that. So May is Mental Health Month.
Yes.
And I was reading of something on Google where a lot of people do not seek the mental health that they need because of that stigma with the police.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
So, and we recognize that as a barrier. Part of what we do is to forecast and to understand the best way to serve the community. Mental health has been on everybody's radar for a good while now. So a lot of what we do is recognizing that is an issue. So all our officers, matter of fact, all of our officers just completed an additional, so we have kind of a mandatory training, I would say. It's called crisis intervention training, and that's offered through Full Rivers. And so what that teaches you is how to recognize people that are in crisis. And they kind of give you some steps to kind of navigate through that to get them the help that they need. Well, this new training we went through called ICAT, it's Integrated Communication, Assessment, and Tactics. And so what it focuses on is there you are with that person in crisis. So what can we do to slow things down where we're not going to put ourselves in a quick decision? And if we can slow that down enough and we can keep everyone safe through that process, we can get them the help we need. And so what I love about that training, in addition to slowing things down, And it may take some time, but it allows us, to that person in crisis, it allows us to build that relationship and to really communicate and figure out what's going on, because it may not be a diagnosed mental illness. Somebody could just be having the worst day of their life. You know, it could be, I'll tell you what it would be a country song from the 70s where the wife left, she took the dog, the trucks broke down, and she sold the house out from under you. You know, and in those situations, it's like, okay, let's stop, let's slow down, let's talk about this the best we can, and let's find some resources to genuinely help that person. So whether that be them going somewhere, or maybe just something as simple as sitting down and talking things out. You go, hey man, it sounds like you're having a bad day. I can't imagine what you're going through. But really increasing that communication while maintaining our safety, and where it doesn't force us into a split-second decision that may be detrimental to somebody. Because again, we recognize that there is no dollar amount that you can put on the value of a human life. So if we can slow down and we can get that communication in there and build that relationship, then that's when I have to stop us from having to explain to someone in their family about what happened.
I like that.
So like I said, that's the big focus. We recognize it, and we're going through a ton of training to do it. And it's something that unfortunately, we get to practice quite a bit just getting the city. You know, there are some mental health folks out there, some people that are struggling, and that just gives us an opportunity to really make an impact in the community. You know, I can't speak to what things were like before I became a police officer. You know, I've been doing this for about 15 years, but I would say within the past 10, I've seen a strong focus on training law enforcement to understand and to help mitigate some of the risk associated with folks in mental crisis. But because I know mental health and physical health is important to you, so for your mental health, I brought you to the Paducah Police Department stress ball.
I will be so thank you.
And because I know physical health as well, I brought you a Paducah Police Department hand sanitizer.
Oh, now you just built that relationship with me.
That's it, you know.
I love this. Thank you so much.
But again, you know, and I can speak for probably every officer at the Paducah Police Department. Everyone is willing to go that extra step to make that impact. You know, there's some stories I could tell you about the things that we do within the community that just have floored me. You know, there was an officer that we had. He got sent to a call. I believe it was a fraud case or a check welfare, and he realized that the gentleman was elderly and didn't have anybody there. And without anybody from the police department asking, he just started to stop in once a day and check on him. Hey man, how are things going? He's like, I got a problem with my remote. Can you fix it? Well, that is not something they teach us in the police academy. But this officer said, sure, let's figure it out. And by the time it was all said and done, they had built this wonderful relationship together to where the officer ultimately was included in the final moments of this elderly person's life. So that's the kind of work. Yeah, that's the kind of impact we have on the community. Is there's officers doing that stuff out there every single day, and they'll never brag about it because they don't want to brag about it because they just see it as doing the right thing.
Yes,
that's it exactly. So nobody walks around and says, hey, look at all these good things I did. But if you sit back and you watch, you see the impact and you see the way that they're just constantly just giving to the community.
And I appreciate you for really taking the time out. I know there's many different things that you could have been doing right now, but taking the time out to come on this show, this platform, to talk about what you're doing with the community and building that trust and community relationship. That's very important. And this right here is a true example of building trust and community relationships. So I really, really greatly appreciate your time and your effort today for coming on here and having this conversation with me. Yes.
Yeah, so like again, any opportunity I have to talk to the public and let them know what we're about, and the caliber of officers that I work with is just phenomenal. You know, when I talk to other agencies and I talk about what we do for our community, and I see, and I'll be honest with you because I'm on social media all the time, not that I want to be, but it's part of what I do.
Right.
It's part of that, you know, being able to spread that message. You know, I get encouraged very often because I see such positive comments a lot of the time. I had a gentleman tell me, make a comment yesterday that he was from out of town. He's like, it just amazes me how proactive this town and its agency is towards serving the public. And then there was the other instance where the guy says, man, this is really how things should be. And that's ultimately what we want, is we want that positive feedback from the community to let them know that, hey, we're not here to judge you. We're not here to take everybody to jail. We're just here to serve. And really, I think, all the officers at the Paducah Police Department have a servant's heart, and to be able to meet with you and be able to share those things with it, means a lot to me as well.
Thank you again. So before we go, I want to take the time out again to highlight the sponsors of episode 10. Inland Waterways Museum, located in Paducah, Kentucky, have an upcoming event, Spirits of the Stream. It's a bourbon tasting, sophisticated evening of sipping and savoring on Thursday, May 16th. Tickets are $50, and that includes the bourbon tasting from barrel and bond, hors d'oeuvres, and admission to the museum. For more information, check out their website, www.inlandwaterways.org. RB's Unique Touch LLC, they specialize in event planning and decorating, with a third annual Mother's Day event coming up on Sunday, May 5th at 1:30 p.m. Tickets and vendor spots are still available, so you can call them at 270-519-6780, or on Facebook you can find RB's Unique Touch LLC. I've been your host. You guys can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, we have a Facebook page, we have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, Spotify, and subscribe to our Facebook channel. Again, when you donate $9.99 to our listener-supported podcast, we give back $2 to Merriman House, and that's also matched by Exit Key Realty Group here in Paducah. I've been your host. My name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner, and I will see you on the next episode. God bless y'all.